Hey, my name is Kenny Markwardt, and I'm the head coach and owner here at CrossFit Sandpoint. So I'd been in gyms my whole life, maybe not my whole life, but since I was 15 years old, I've been working out in like 24-hour fitness type gyms, um, doing the traditionally kind of the bodybuilder type of a program. So like the back and bis, chest and tris, legs once a month, maybe if you're lucky. Just kind of looking to punch a clock, spend an hour, work out. And I probably spent, 8 to 10 years doing that for fitness, and I enjoyed it, but I kind of started progressing into, and I've always been an athlete. I've played sports in high school, and about 8 years ago or so, I started getting into doing Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu and some other forms of combat training. And I was continuing to work out in like that Globo gym type of setting, doing the workouts that I'd traditionally been doing. And at that point, I had a really good understanding of how to train, or I thought I knew how to train and what to do. And in my other aspects of athleticism and training, I was getting slower, and I wasn't improving, and I was really getting frustrated. Like I felt like I was ramping up my workouts outside of my other events, and I wasn't getting any better, and I couldn't really understand that. And I kind of beat my head against the wall for that for a couple of years before I started exploring other options. And I started following reading his books and following a guy named Martin Rooney, who is responsible for something called Training for Warriors. And it's CrossFit-ish. It's more functional. A lot of weights, a lot of weightlifting, a lot of sprint work, a lot of high intensity type stuff, more functional type training. And then from there, I ended up bumping into CrossFit, which at the beginning, when people would mention CrossFit, all I could think of was like, I knew it was a group fitness type of a setting and a class, and all I could think of were like the step aerobic type groups that I was familiar with seeing in the back rooms at all the gyms I'd been a part of for the last 8 to 10 years. And I thought it was like this big, everybody was in a series of lines, and you'd follow along with the instructor, and it was just not. I thought it was so silly. And I heard all the other stuff, all the anecdotal stuff about how many injuries there are and how it's stupid and how the trainers know what they're doing. So I really wrote it off for several years. And then finally I started following a lot of the main site workouts in a gym that I was at that actually had, which was a shocker for gyms at the time. They had bumper plates and weightlifting bars and stuff that you would be allowed to drop weights. And so I was able to follow CrossFit main site for a while. And after the first workout, I did Angie, which is 100 pull-ups, 100, what is it now? 100 pull-ups, 100 push-ups, 100 air squats, and 100 sit-ups. And I just got crushed. I think I was sore for like 2 weeks, but I instantly knew that it was kind of what I was looking for the whole time. And so, again, continued to follow CrossFit main site, and started to see improvements, and started to see, my explosiveness was better, my raw strength was better, my endurance was better, my sprints were better, just everything was better. And I figured, this is what I've been looking for all along. So my first impression was, like I said a second ago, this is what I've been looking for the entire time. And that changed in a way that it used to be I was training for other events outside of CrossFit, and then it slowly, actually really not that slowly, I started kind of getting competitive with it pretty quick. But it became then the focal point, where it was just an accessory to other stuff that I was doing. All of a sudden it became what I wanted to do. And I kind of, like a lot of the other stuff that I was interested in, dropped off. And it's actually come full circle. I think that a lot of people within this, they get they want to look good, feel good, move better for their outside activities. Depending on the person, they'll get really interested in CrossFit, and that becomes the thing they want to do. And they do that for a couple of years, and then they kind of come down the other side, and they start recognizing, I really want to do this for longevity and health and for all the things I got into it in the beginning, in the first place. And that's where I'm at right now. And it's really a lot of fun. Going from, beginning in the functional thing, really functional, highly, geared towards what I wanted to do outside of the gym, towards making the gym the whole thing and trying to really maximize my potential within the gym space, to now being on the other side of it and kind of this is what I want to do to stay healthy, and have energy and feel better and look better for the rest of my life. My first success would have to be getting under 4 minutes for Fran. Actually, no, I would disagree with that. I would say getting under, it must have been 5 minutes for a Fran time, which for those of you who are not familiar with Fran, it's 21, 15, and 9 of thrusters at 95 pounds and pull-ups. So you do 21 thrusters, 21 pull-ups, 15 thrusters, 15 pull-ups, 9, and 9. I had actually never done Fran until I went to my level 1, and which at the level 1 there was probably 30 to 40 people there in a big group, and I fell prey to the, when you're in a big group and you go way outside of what you should be doing because of the pressure, and you think, your ego gets in the way. You think, oh, these guys can do it, I can do it for sure. And so I loaded up my bar with 95 pounds, didn't get any bands for pull-ups. And I proceeded to suffer for about 7 minutes. And I pushed myself, I redlined almost immediately, thinking I can hang with everybody else. Just got completely obliterated. I remember the level 1 staff on site for that. Just, she was pretty aggressive, and she was kind of getting in my face, which is not something I really respond well to. So that really exacerbated the struggle with it. And it took me, I think, 7.5 minutes or so. My hand tore to a pretty big extent pretty early on, and from the completion of that, as soon as it was over, I literally sat in the bathroom at the facility for like a half an hour, and was like in this horrible tunnel of where I couldn't even see. It was one of the worst, just awful pains, and just felt like crap forever. Well, everybody else was sitting outside drinking beer and hanging out and being social. I was, they call it the pain cave. I was literally in a bathroom, like a dark, pain cave of bathroom, sitting there alone, wondering what in the world I had just done. So when I got, and I that really that was hard for me to accept, that I could get that slaughtered by a barbell after, I'd been doing CrossFit for a little bit, and I had, obviously been in gyms at that point for 8 to 10 years or so, and I've been an athlete my whole life. So, and that was the worst I probably have ever felt after any sort of athletic event. So when I came back, I really responded and said, you know what, that's something I need to work on. And I think the next time I did it, I think I did it in 5.5 minutes. And of course it hurt, but it wasn't like I just, I was on the edge of death, is what I felt like at the beginning. So that was a major success for me. My favorite memory, I don't know if there's so many. We've been here 5 years now, and every single day I feel like I can't believe that it is what it is. And that's been every single step of the way. The first year, and the first 100 members, and the first time we did a competition together, all those things were I remember I've tried to be really cognizant of taking a step back and thinking to myself, this was, when we first started, there's no way I would have imagined any of this was possible. To be able to do what I love and inspire other people to do things that they never thought possible. I feel like a good representation of that every year is Murph for some reason. Which is it's a super special event, just across the whole community of CrossFit. But for us, it's usually our biggest turnout for any single workout. We usually have between, I think we probably started with 20 people, and now we're closer to 45 or so. And, I remember walking around even this year. I think every year I do this, but I remember just because it was a couple of weeks ago, walking around and just I was my eyes were welling up because I was so emotional about how special this is, and how blessed I feel that it's turned into what it has. And so it's not necessarily a specific memory, but but every day when I'm walking around the gym, I feel so fortunate and so just lucky to be able to do what I'm able to do. And I'm just so like inspired and grateful to be surrounded by the people that we have inside this gym. So every day is kind of my favorite memory, which sounds really cliche and kind of not really answering the question, but that's truly how I feel. So my favorite thing about coaching is, like I said a second ago, is the just the being able to see people. I say this all the time to people now, but if I had $1 for every single person that when I told them they'd be able to do a handstand or a handstand push-up or pull-up or whatever on their first day, and if I had $1 for everybody that looked at me like I was totally out of my mind, I'd probably have like $200. But that is the special thing to me. It's not like, we certainly have some very, very, very impressive athletes, and some people that as soon as they walk in the door, they're able to do, like, you just, hey, do this, and they are immediately able to do that. That's cool, and it's certainly impressive as like just human potential goes. But what is way more important and way more special to me as far as a coach goes is when somebody's been working on something for years and years and years and they're finally able to do it. And especially are those people that don't believe they can do it in the beginning. So what I love is when that mindset is switched. I think it's so much more powerful than just what's people realize what they're capable of within the gym. But when somebody gets, they've been doing this CrossFit thing for a little while and they've had a couple of those moments where, they do their first box jump, or they do their first handstand, or they do their first, air squat to depth or whatever, and they previously could not do that. When they walk out of here, they're taller and they're more confident and they're more able to face the challenges of every day and recognize that if they just keep putting the time in and keep just taking the slow steps towards doing what they're doing, they'll be able to do that. And so that's the best thing about coaching for me, and that's on a nutrition front, and that's on a physical front, and that's just like well-rounded as humans go. Like, to be able to have some small part of that, have somebody be able to like know that they can do what they put their mind to, whatever that may be. That's crazy. That's so cool to me. I'm not like the most outwardly emotional guy, but like there's seriously tears welling up behind my eyes a lot of the time when I see people do things that they never thought they'd be possible to do. And I'm usually smiling at them and laughing and high-fiving them, but like the inspiration of emotion for that for me is crazy.